If a person empties his wallet into his head, no one can take it away from him. Amin Friendlim Party. Ladies and gentlemen, in this post, I will to bring you interesting things and I'm going to prove it to you. Self-education can help support insurance and even make it right for your lives. How to put it differently? It's like the title of this article that I wrote. How great is self-learning? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll start the proof. How amazing self-learning is with our lives with a very vague question. According to you, have coffee at 11 o'clock in the afternoon. It's lunch or not, right? Make some coffee and wake up. It's early at 11:30 in the afternoon. A drink is not the evening, right? For example, drinking at night causes insomnia. It's only 11 o'clock in the afternoon. Even many at PM or PM make another drink to stay awake. I finished 3 glasses, right? It really happened this morning too. I'm sure many of you are also feeling a loss of energy. If you have energy, drinking coffee is reasonable. There's nothing to say. If you don't drink coffee, drink tea. If you don't drink tea, drink energy drinks. In general, there is caffeine. Haha, right? Hip. So these things have something to do with why we're here. And what does it say? In this article, you know Hips, the self-learning. He taught me something very important. This is the habit of drinking coffee. Like I just said, this is a serious habit in a serious way. Why? Let me explain. Remember to take it seriously. It affects your happiness and sadness. It affects things positively or negatively. Pretend, or is that energy serious? Seriously, SAO not. And seriously, seriously. Then listen to me explain, play for fun, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, there's a natural chemical in our brain called adenosine. I'll read it according to the pronunciation that everyone understands. I wouldn't read it correctly by the name of science. I don't read correctly in English. Even if you put it on Google, it reads correctly, but I read it so close. Adenosine, this adenosine substance, it builds up gradually. When we're awake, that means the more adenosine we accumulate, we'll get more and more sleepy. And until the amount of adenosine in my body, it's reached the top, it's too much, then we'll have a very useful feeling of Kai. It's the feeling of wanting to sleep, feeling sleepy. He drowned and died. It's because of adenosine. So adenosine is great. It makes us want to go to sleep. And if you don't have a disorder, somewhere between 12 and 16 hours after you, when you wake up, you will be sleepy. All thanks to this guy, adenosine. Everything is going great. It's very natural. It's very fun. That is, until a scumbag shows up. This guy's name is Coffee. And to understand why this coffee guy is so smug, then we will have to look at this diagram. I tried to repaint. It's easy for you to understand and remember. This is a habit. Serious in a serious way. Let me explain in a minute or two. You see, this is the diagram that we see. Adenosine. That is what? The more chemicals accumulate, the more they cause drowsiness. It's bound to the 2 main receptors. It's called the A receptor and the A receptor. You don't even need to know what the receptor is. I can understand it in a very specific way. It's the friend who sends the signal. Thanks to what? Binding to receptors A and A2 is primarily this. Then we'll have an effect. It's what gets tired. I feel like I'm falling asleep. It's easy to imagine when we're sleepy. That feeling, that's probably adenosine. It binds to that A1 and A2 receptor. Then the coffee guy in it is very piercing. When we drink coffee, or tea, or energy drinks, or coffee, it's in me. And he came in here, and he took adenosine's place. It takes the place of binding to the A1 and A2 receptors. The result is the arrows in the back. That's what you see. It can't happen. It blocks the feeling of sleepiness. I want to go to sleep naturally. And in the struggle between adenine and caffeine, in the fun way, caffeine wins. It gains those that bind to the receptor, A1 and 2A. So the whole process since the adenosine buildup until the feeling of fatigue, sleepiness at the end, it didn't happen naturally because of the caffeine guy, ladies and gentlemen. So now it's very important to note where caffeine is the way of love. Between adenosine and the receptors, Not being able to get together is very difficult. You and I will find it very difficult to fall asleep, even late at night. And vice versa when the caffeine runs out. The love between adenosine and the new receptors get together. How then? You will wonder answer. I miss drinking coffee when the coffee is gone. I had a drink at 3 this afternoon. 11 to 30, I miss drinking. Now, when is it over? Ladies and gentlemen, when you have coffee from 11 to 30, usually about 57 hours later, there will be about 50%. The coffee in your body is excreted. And we call this 50% thing the thing that's sold. You call it the sell-off process. Then there's a lot of these terms in the books. We understand in a way that there's a parameter that I put on the screen. You can see it at 11 to 30. It's 100% caffeine. About 7 hours later, about 18 to 30, it will be sold. That means it's halved. There is 50% caffeine, and it's about 1 to 30 in the morning. It means somewhere about 7 hours later, the caffeine is still half of what it was last time. It's about 25%. 1, 30 in the morning. So now, if you drink too much, drink a lot, even drinking several times a day, it's 1 to 30 this morning. There's still a lot of caffeine. You can't sleep for sure, or you can completely sleep thanks to the circadian rhythm, but your sleep quality is still not good. Maybe it's in the cause here. So we conclude with a lot of people, maybe have a big glass at 11 to 30. Maybe it's not very wise, guys, because it's probably midnight. There's still about 25% caffeine in your system. And you remember this. Caffeine, it splits the love between the receptors and adenosine, and it makes the chart on the screen. The arrows are in the back. You see, this sleepy feeling, it didn't happen. So sometimes you get very tired, but it's not sleepy. You have to be very careful about this. And it's only learning that tells us. And thank you very much for the book, Why Swip by the author. Maxio Walker taught me this. Of course, I'm trying. I find out more. But this is clearly learning. Thanks to this learning, I stopped a habit that I thought very stupid myself. It's late coffee and drinking too much coffee at late hours. And what's very dangerous about this habit is that's it. It creates a loop of sleeplessness. And drink a lot of coffee, guys, and increasingly your condition, it will get heavier. This is specifically because you're losing sleep, so light up, you sluggish. What are you doing sluggishly? You'll drink more coffee a day. Many of you are BBA glasses, right hip for glasses and drinks scattered. The time of day. Morning a glass, 1 drink at lunch, 1 drink even at night. Of course, this is because I didn't know I was doing this. It's not me deliberately messing up for his health. This is simply not known, but this accident still does a lot of damage. I drink a lot of coffee, and I can't sleep at night. I lost sleep at night. I'm losing sleep more and more. The heavier I am, the more tired I'm the next morning. The more sleepy it is. The more tired you are, the more you drink. More than. Until one day, you lose sleep. Is called chronic. You're chronically sleep deprived, and it becomes a health issue for you. You know, when I lose sleep, people, every organ in my body goes down. Not just the spirit, my brain. And that's why I said that the thing about drinking coffee is that it's the wrong way. It's the wrong time. It's dangerous. It affects everything. Of course, the time is sold from 5 to 7 hours. It's different for everyone. Some are less than 5 hours fast, 4 years or so. Some are 7 hours late. Even more so, this is up to each person. But it's clear, let's say 5 hours. At midnight, it's still 25%. If you drink 200 milliliters, a big glass at noon, I said it could be coffee. Or maybe energy drinks. It could be tea. Whether it's tea or energy drinks, you drink 300 or 500 milliliters. I feel very normal. Don't be surprised. But when you can't sleep, those who drink tea in the evening, it's even more dangerous because it also has coffee in it. It's because of this learning. We know what's right for our lives. I like coffee. We can drink it. Try to drink early and don't drink late hours. That's it. The later times, this afternoon, I feel sluggish. What can I replace it with? To do these motor exercises. By going out. If you breathe the air, you can too. There will be some sanity. The learning is so great. If you don't learn, you don't know. I've talked to a lot of people. They still drink coffee at night. And the only reason they drink is because they don't know the harm. Or do they know, but it knows vaguely, and they can't explain the harm. Learning helps us to explain these things, and we adjust our behavior. Education is so great. Self-learning is so great. Then we come back and welcome you back to the program. In this second part, explain why it's learned. Awesome as it is, It gives us positives. It gives us something interesting. It gives us something to wake up to. The bright lights in my head. Of course, humans. If you live, there will be mistakes. But there's going to be a lot of things. I realized my mistake. Things I have done wrong in the past. I corrected myself to change. I think that's when we humans move forward. And the modern civilization, I believe it has that same origin. The more beautiful of my mind. I think it's more important. The beauty of the tool. Or of modern things. In the end, people treat each other well. It's still something. It is so precious in my concept of life. Of course, you see this. You'd say it's too mechanical. It's kind of theoretical. Then, of course, when we apply it to us, then we will see what, hey, it's bullshit, but that. Try it with the people around you. Now you want your parents, your children, the most beloved friends, living next to decent people, or not, as long as you think that's raw. Sometimes I have to think about the people around me. Let me respect you. Appreciate the decency of the moral. Of course, the word moral. There are also many people who don't like it. I really am myself. I've seen this before. It's very bullshit. I don't believe in morality either. I don't believe in human kindness either. I think that in this life, I try to make money, try to rise up. If I have this position, I am very successful until one day. It's strange. I can read it by accident. Your books, R.E. Kettle, I'm sure you are too. You already know these books. When I read this book, it's actually very easy to read. It's a little thick, but it's also very easy to read. I was accidentally rereading a concept, and I knew before that, but I don't see anything special about it. I read it again later. That's the concept of oneness. You guys, of course, I will read it too. But then, when I think about it, I can see the good things. The depth of this concept, especially in my understanding. It may not be the same as in the book, because I'll never take the whole thing, anything in someone's mind, to use, unless I've digested and absorbed it myself, and I've always understood it my way, based on what I learned, well, in my own way. As a result, it shows harmony, and interrelated, mutual reciprocity, between different elements in a common entity. That means, in a common one, there are different idiosyncrasies, but these idiosyncrasies are in harmony with each other. We need each other connected, and when I hurt a single thing, in a common one, that common one, it will also be affected, and it will come back. It also harms itself. I mean, for example, I live in a world. There's light, there's air. Right here. Now I'm dependent on the air. In a universe, I said it was fun. I'm going to try to say something very normal. Hey guys, I didn't say anything in heaven and earth. The world you live in has air and light. We are a part. Air is a component. Light is a component. Trees are a part, right? So now, let's say you cut down that tree, cut down that forest. Sometimes you don't know. It's about your relationship to the tree that you cut down, right? But if I think about it as a whole, you'll always find yourself with that tree. It has something in common. It's got connections, maybe oxygen. It could be the temperature. It could be the humidity. It could be a storm or a flood. And when I feel it, I won't do it when I cut that tree down for a very selfish reason. No need to say what. What's the reason? The whole thing. I cut the tree down. It'll come back and it'll hurt me one day. Maybe in the past, I cut down the tree, but only today, I clear my head. I understood my oneness with that tree. With that flower, with that air, with that light, we are all in a common place. Because we are in a common, should be interlinked. It's like hands and feet. It's like the organs in my body, right? And one is hurt, the others will also get hurt. I'm a part of that. When the common is hurt, how to not get hurt. Old school days, you've probably read the story. Talk about the mouth. Right hip, hands, feet, eyes, nose. He found his mouth so happy. He doesn't do anything. He hates it. He didn't want to take the food and give it to him. He didn't know it was all hands and feet. Then Tim. The lungs are one. There's something in common with all of you. When a component is damaged, love, all the rest is affected. And so these little hands and feet, right? That's the story, even when you're very young. If I understand, I will have a sense of unity. Then when I get to that level, in a very practical way, I will no longer feel the moral categories, the philosophical categories. It's sublime. It's very normal, folks. And we harm somebody. We are harming the common at the same time. But once the commons are hurt, I'm sure we will be hurt too. For example, you go to work now. You hate a job and you hurt them. If you think about unity, you will definitely have to understand this. If you harm one person, at the same time, the whole will be harmed. But the common that it suffers to such an extent, that conflict, it's called breaking down, and it's the opposite. You yourself will be hurt. The friend you hurt may be angry, break the organization, or because of stress, they're doing something wrong in the calculation at work. And most likely what? That company, it's become 7 failures. Or that group becomes 7 because of the poor productivity of the keyer. Now that the company is 7, or that group, it's 7. Don't tell me you're not affected. Easy hip, right hip here, I say. Very simple. It's very simple. It doesn't say anything profound. Especially when I understand this, I wouldn't want to do it. Hurt others too, because the hips have to be tall. It's about realizing the laws of life. It's really like having a bucket of water. It's clean, and I put a drop of ink in it. What does a drop of ink do? It's still in there, but it's not. Everyone's common bucket of water, it's already contaminated, and we're going to have to take that impact. When the common is hurt, then we will be the opposite, something like that. Of course, this is, when I dig deep, it's long. It's also complicated. I just want to prove to you that for someone to change the mood, then there's a really great platform from learning. It's a hell of a platform, guys. Such great learning. There are things I can't explain. I won't do it. The empty theory. It's never going to make people change. There is only a deep understanding. There is only one that can be understood and awakened. I can feel it in me. Realize the whole reason. It's about the heart that it's true. Unconsciously, we will live by it, and I will follow it. Something like that. This post is very gentle. It's very slow. And I think it's chill too. I hope that I will contribute some part in your self-study process. Sometimes just 2 things that I accidentally knew. You can also completely change your life. From my sleep, and my morning was completely changed when I realized the mistake. When I drink that coffee, I'm naturally more intelligent. Later, I was also less bad. What kind of money can you buy right? Money can buy a lot when it costs money. Go to the doctor. Because I drink coffee the wrong way, or it's about the one thing. Sometimes there's someone I hate. I want to talk badly about them. But when I was afraid of you, when I hurt you, you heard me hurt our common. It's like I'm cutting down this tree now. It has an effect. Actually, that last time, you see the temperature with the humidity. It's about 80% more than that temperature, about 35, 38 degrees. But it's actually what we feel. It's probably going to go up to about 45 degrees, not a little. Then you can imagine if the roof of your house or the balcony of your house, now there is a garden. There's a vegetable garden that you go up to that you avoid. You guys just sit there. It's interesting, guys. So now I'm saying in the opposite direction. When I do good things, I help the unity of all people. If it gets better, I will naturally get infected. I even got the best part. Because I created that, I hope this article will bring you its interesting ideas. If so, the post is long now. Hello, and I'll see you next week.